How do we engage the culture, especially in theater and the arts, with the question of identity? We discuss conversion and healing with Emma Cox on Spirit Spire, starting right now.
Broadcasting from the Cathedral of the Assumption in Louisville, Kentucky, this is Spirit Spire. And now, here is your host.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Spirit Spire. I'm your host today, John Soul, and joined with me is Vincent Ricketts as our co-host today.
Hello.
As usual, and we have a special guest today, Emma Cox, and she is here to talk a lot about life, faith, theater, arts, everything. Welcome, Emma.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah, it's been a great time knowing you for, 3 or 4 years now since you graduated college at Western Kentucky?
I guess 4. Really?
Yeah, about 4 years. And I went to Western, graduated in 2013, and you were a few years behind me, so we never crossed paths in that time, but you got a job working with the Bright program that we teach in the schools about 4 years ago, and a lot has changed since then, but it was a gift to get to know you through that, working and teaching in that sense, but also knowing your backstory. There's just a lot of harmony in the theater world, because I've done theater in my life, and I know Vincent has done theater as well, so we have a lot of theater background.
I think I knew that.
You didn't know that?
Yes.
What was the stint?
I was in West Side Story
at St. X.
Senior year of high school.
Oh my gosh.
And Brian Kane was a youth minister and was at the play for another youth group kid, and they were in the same picture because he had a picture with the cast.
There's a photo
player.
of us together. We wouldn't know each other for like
2 or 3 years.
3 years or something.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that. Well, that's kind of like us too, because when I was interviewing for the Bright program, I don't remember. I guess it was like the first interview. It was like on a Zoom call, and I said, "Yeah, and I'm the president of the pro-life group." And you said, "What? That exists?" And I was like, "Yeah, we started it last year, whatever." And then it came out that the 7 years ago, whenever you were there, you had started a pro-life group, and you were the president of the pro-life group.
Yes.
And then I had restarted a pro-life group 7 years later.
Yes, that was really cool. I forgot that we had started one. I mean, I can't claim to say I started it, but I was part of the beginning, and we got it going, and then there was 3 or 4 years where it just kind of fell away. And I think that's a lot of times groups like that, but regardless, the harmony is so cool how God works in those ways. So
yeah, it's crazy.
It's a great gift. So to share a little bit about your faith story, what made you passionate about your Catholic faith, your Catholic identity, your deeper sense of purpose, and then, of course, the lifestyle that flowed from that. When did that really start? When did you really take ownership of your relationship with Jesus? But also getting into the heart of some of the things you did to serve the church, so that the audience can get to know you a little bit and draw you in.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Well, I was raised Catholic. I was born here, actually, and then we moved to Nashville, Tennessee when I was 5 and a half. And so I started kindergarten there and then went to the same, Catholic school, Catholic high school. And we were, Sunday Catholics, but my dad sang in the choir my whole life, and my mom was a Eucharistic minister and hospitality minister. And then my sister and I were altar servers, so we were always really involved at church. So we were always the first family there and the last family to leave. And yeah, whenever I turned 15, I was a sophomore in high school, my choir director at church asked if they needed another alto, and I'm no longer an alto, but I was at the time, so he asked if I would be another alto in the choir. So I started singing with the adult choir when I was 15, and I really, looking back now, I guess jumping ahead a little bit, looking back, music was always so important to me, and I think was really what made me want to stay Catholic when I went to college, which I guess comes in later. But when I was in high school, I played volleyball, but then I got an injury, and then when I was trying out, I almost said auditioning. Now my head's in auditioning, but at the time trying out. When I was trying out, right? Yeah. Over. When I was trying out for the my club team, after I had sprained my ankle really bad, I didn't make a team. And so I was like, what am I going to do? I had done that for 5 years, and that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my high school time. But it kind of just ended. And then a friend of mine from choir asked if I had ever wanted to do a play. So I auditioned for the musical. I did Guys and Dolls, and I just like was hooked right immediately. Not only just because it was fun, but because like I had a community for the first time in my life that like I really felt like I belonged to. And that was huge for me. Like I always kind of was a floater around. Like I kind of could get along with most people, but I like finally had like a group of people who were my people, and that was huge. So really grateful for that. But like faith-wise, it was just like Sunday Mass. My parents never let us miss Mass on like a vacation, and we would always like pray at restaurants and stuff. But then going into college, I went to Western Kentucky, go Tops. And it was the first time I'd ever been in a public school. So I was going to like go to church on Sunday, and I was like, and I'll sing in the choir, and that's it, you know, like what I typically do. But the first Mass, Father Mike Williams, as you know, love him so much, Owensboro. But he's awesome. Yeah, he's fantastic. I don't know how he lives. He like lives on cigarettes and Pepsi. It's amazing. I love him so much.
He really is.
He's
oh my gosh.
just like one of the most amazing priests I've ever met in my life.
He loves those consignment shops too.
He does.
Yeah.
He bought, I think this is public knowledge, but he bought a coffin like on discount. And it's in, well, it was before he like was moved assignments, but it was just in the Newman Center basement. And you'd walk in this one room and Father Mike's coffin is just like on a shelf. And we're like,
wait,
dude,
for himself? Like
for himself. It was crazy.
Gosh, he's so funny.
It was really funny.
When I was there, he bought a car because he was at a junkyard looking for a part for a car he owned. And they couldn't give him the part, but they had a whole car that was the same.
He was saving money.
For saving money, he bought the whole car and just stored it in the basement where we lived in the house right next door.
That's so
Somehow
cool.
It fit. It was that small. And then he got rid of both cars within the same year. It was like, I don't even understand him. He was nuts. But,
He's amazing.
But what an influence he had on our lives.
Yeah, and I could go on and on about him. I just love him so much. But anyway, so I show up to church, and I had met this girl at like an orientation event, and I had a Catholic t-shirt on from a retreat I went on in high school, and she was like, "You're Catholic?" I was like, yeah, how did you know that? You know, and she went to the same retreat. Oops.
You're good. Be careful. No worries.
But she like had gone to the same retreat, so she said, "Do you want to go to Mass with me?" I said, "Sure." So we show up, and Father Mike's up there saying, "You know, we have a lot of stuff going on. If you want to join a Bible study," and I was like, "Yeah, right. That's not gonna happen," because I don't know, like my parents, we always went to church, but we didn't talk about it, you know, like we just kind of did it and then went home. And I was kind of told like, yeah, your faith is something that's between you and God. Like you don't talk about that. And it's not, that's just was my parents' understanding of it. That was how they were raised, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's what I got. And I was like, Bible study, like I'm supposed to talk about my faith with other people. I thought we don't do that, you know, like that's not a Catholic thing to do, right? And so I'm in this row of all these other freshman girls, and he said, "Raise your hand if you want to sign up for a Bible study." And I'm just sitting there like my arms crossed, you know, just like, nope. And I look down this row, and all of these girls have their hand up, and I'm like, dang it. So I like wanted to be friends with them, so I just like half raised my hand in the air and signed up, and was like, why did I do that? So then I went, and like, yeah, I like changed my life. Like not obviously immediately, but we had Bible study, and we went to dinner after, and like just I had friends, you know, like I had friends who knew their faith. And so after that, like really is when it all just kind of began. I was studying musical theater, and I ended up getting a degree, Bachelor of Fine Arts in Musical Theater. But like even there, like my best friend, Sister Mary Frances, was a dance minor, so like we were even in class together and things. But like just having that community based on faith was something I never had before. And growing up, I had never really had a community until theater, right? So I figured my theater friends were going to be my community in college too, but it very quickly changed to like one time somebody had to give something to me. And he was the technical director, and he called me. He said, "Hey, you forgot something. I'll bring it to you." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay. I'm at St. Thomas." He's like, "Yeah, I know." And I was like, "What do you mean you know?" He said, "Emma, everyone knows where you go after class." And I was like, "That's creepy. Like, what are you talking about?" But like, yeah, everyone saw me walking down the hill to St. Thomas every day, you know? And like, knew that was like where my people were and like where my community was, which was really cool. But yeah, that just having that community, having people around me who knew how to pray and taught me how to pray, and we would go to daily mass and we would go on retreats and all of that. I got to choose it for the first time in my life. And I had people around me who were also choosing it, and we were able to walk together through that. And I'm still, like, they're still my best friends now, which is
Now, were they saying
beautiful.
that, oh, we know where you go, is a negative thing?
I don't know. I mean,
Because that's how you said it. It sounded like, oh, yeah, we know you go there, as if it's a bad
I don't
thing.
know if I meant for that to come across exactly.
gotcha.
Well, like,
Just thinking of the theater world and the perception
Yeah.
and the tension there.
being Catholic wasn't necessarily a popular thing. People would make comments. There's this one guy who would call me Saint Emma, like as a derogatory thing. And people would say things like, I would always come back and be like, well, you're going to be a saint too, you know, because we're all called to that. And he's like, yeah, right. And I'm like, I will see you in heaven someday, man. So I still pray for him every day. You're welcome if you're watching this. Anyway.
I love that.
But like people would say things like, oh, Emma's just so innocent, you know, she wouldn't get it or whatever. And it's like, okay. So my focus missionary, we had focus missionaries. I was telling her how annoying that was. And she said, what if you just said thank you next time someone said that? And I was like, okay, I'll try it. So I'm in the green room or whatever, and people were doing something. They're like, well, Emma wouldn't know anything about that. And I just said, oh, thank you. That's something I, strive for, is innocence. And everyone in the room just like, you could hear crickets. And no one ever said it to me again.
Wow.
But then when I started the pro-life group, I got some pushback on that. Like campus-wide pushback on that. But also just like interpersonally, a couple of people approached me about that and like left really nasty comments on my Instagram posts and things. But then other people in the theater department defended me on my Instagram posts against those people. Like, she's allowed to believe whatever she wants, like, good for you for like standing up for what you believe in. And that was really cool to see. So I didn't really feel any sort of like discrimination or like pushback until like the last 2 months of school. Everyone knew I was Catholic, but I don't know if people really understood what that meant. And so I was cast in a show, and a female was cast as the male lead. But they had done that before and not changed like the gender of the character. And so I'm like, heck yeah, this person should get a lead role. She's amazing, right? So I go to the first rehearsal, and they said, we've talked to the lead characters, and they want to change this lead male role to a lead female role. It was a Shakespeare show, and now it's going to be a lesbian couple. And
Which show was it?
It was Much Ado About Nothing.
Okay.
And I honestly don't know a lot about the show now because I ended up dropping it, but I'll get to that in a minute. No spoilers. But anyway, I was in the ensemble, and our director, sweet director, told us, and the ensemble's role is to kind of encourage the audience to see that this is a really good thing.
Oh, my.
And I said,
Oh, my.
I can't do that, right? So I was like, uh-oh. So I called a friend. His name's Peter. I'm forgetting his last name right now off the top of my head, but he runs something called the Merry Beggars. It's like they do, for Relevant Radio, they do like saint, like radio shows. It's really
Saints
cool.
Alive, the radio show.
It might be that.
It's through
actually.
Hallow, I think. They also have it on Hallow, and
They might.
they're all over the place.
Yeah.
It's a radio theater for
Yes.
the Saints.
Radio theater for it's really, really cool. And
Yeah,
they
it's
also
pretty
do
awesome.
some other like radio theater things. But I was talking to him, and he said, Emma, like, it'd be really hard, but it would be like, it is kind of like our duty, to stand up for the truth. And you're being asked to do that in a really uncomfortable way. But I think it'll do more good if you drop the show than if you like go along with it. And I said, okay. So I emailed the director and the stage manager and told them that I needed to drop the show because while I how did I word it? Something like, I appreciate that you are trying to put on a production that you think our audience needs to see. However, like, while I acknowledge the validity of same-sex attractions, that they exist and that there's nothing wrong with them inherently, I cannot support the acting on those, desires or whatever, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So for that reason, I need to drop the show. And I apologize for that inconvenience. And the director responded like, yep, I disagree with you, but I respect you. So, of course, and I won't be sharing this with the cast. Like, no worries. I was like, okay, thank you. Well, then I was working on my thesis, and I was working on a solo performance called Jeanne, like the French version of Joan. It was a solo show about Joan of Arc. And I was like a month away from
she seems to be a more culturally acceptable female role model in that world, even in theater.
Yeah, well, there's this kind of actually why I ended up studying her, because I was in a scene for an acting class from The Lark by Jean Anouilh, and it's about Joan of Arc, and just beautiful. But there's also Saint Joan by Bernard Shaw. She also shows up in some Shakespeare, and there's some more modern things as well. See, she is also, though, sometimes like held up as this like hero for like non-binary like ideology, which I'm like, okay, she wore men's clothes because she had to, and then she literally died for it. So I don't know. Like, I see how they could skew that, I suppose, but like, I don't know if that's exactly what she was going for.
Yeah, but
right?
That's not on her. That would be on them.
Yeah. But, so she is, accepted more. But I just have looked up to her so much. Just like, how old was she when she died? 19?
Something like that.
Insane. Okay. Like, she goes before all these educated people and like, just is like questioned over and over and over again, the same things. And she held out for so long, but then she just got like, tired, right? Like, who wouldn't? And then they had her sign away her life, and that she couldn't even read it. But like, the thing that really like struck me was that I didn't know this, but the first time she was at the stake, she recanted. And she said, never mind. I guess I am doing something wrong, because why would God want me to die? And then she goes back to prison, and she put on her women's clothes, but they didn't follow through on their end of the bargain, and she was still in danger. And so she put back on her men's clothes, and they killed her for that. That was the loophole they found to get her to be killed. Isn't that crazy?
That is.
Anyway,
that is.
I love her a lot. But anyway, I was like a month away from my final performance and defending my thesis, and my advisor, we were on a Zoom call, and I had asked for a recommendation for an internship, and I was told that she had some questions for me first, and I said, okay. So we're on this Zoom call, and it was like awkward, I could tell, and I was like, this is weird. I was in the Newman Center, praise the Lord. I had my headphones in, but like there were other people around me. And then I said, okay, well, I'm done with my stuff. Like, did you have anything for me? And she's like, why did you leave the show? And I said, what? And she's like, why did you leave the show? I said, do you want me to be honest about that? She said, yep. And I told her, and she basically grilled me for like 30 minutes and called me a homophobe and like told me I was a terrible person, and that she could not write me a recommendation because I'd be a danger to the people in the theater community because of my beliefs on marriage. And then my friend came up to me and like gave me a hug. She then disappeared and came back 20 minutes later with fresh baked cookies, which was such a move. I love her a lot. So my whole like foundation was just like, what is going on? Like, I did not expect that. And then my good friend Brian Rica, you know him. He was a faculty member and also devout Catholic, and
sponsored the pro-life group.
Yeah. And he, one of my friends who was in the room said, you need to talk to Brian about that. So I told him what happened, and he said, I have to report this for discrimination. So that professor was reported to the school for religious discrimination. And I don't know what happened with it, but she was taken off my thesis.
Well, that's good. Yeah,
like a month before it was done, so that was kind of
I experienced
insane.
Similar persecution because I did theater minor at Western Kentucky as well with, I think, the same person, that you're talking about. So it was definitely a challenging environment, but that I feel is very universal in the theater world. If you're trying to be Catholic or Christian, there's no room a lot of times in that secular-minded ideology.
Yeah, and
It's
that's
that sad thing.
It is sad because art is meant to elevate our minds, you know, like beauty is transcendental.
And
And-
my brother had a theory about theater of actors are so used to portraying other characters, they never actually settle in their own identity.
Oh man, yeah.
Isn't that profound?
That is really profound.
Like, can you speak to how Catholics and Christians can actually engage in theater in that secular world before we jump into how to do it outside of that in the ways that you're pursuing now? And how do we engage in the culture right now as it is? Is it even possible?
I don't know. And honestly, like, so when I was looking at jobs, I mean, how did I end up teaching chastity class, right? It's because I couldn't find any jobs in the theater world. There are like 7 Catholic theaters in the country, which are amazing and beautiful, but all of them are really far away from here.
7?
7 or 8 maybe, and that's, I think, professional ones. There might be a couple other community theaters. There's also some really good Christian initiatives. There's one at Creo in somewhere close to here. It's Christian, but they seem pretty awesome. I haven't gotten in touch with them personally. Their website's cool.
Yeah,
but-
so you're talking about adult theater groups, not
yeah.
like high school, Catholic high schools. Like that's,
Well,
there are a lot of those.
I could go on that too, just like show choice matters, you know, but that's not why we're here. So anyway, even some Christian theaters around the country, like you would have to like sign like, yes, I agree. Like, I mean, obviously I think like, okay, I worked at Immaculata. Inclusivity like can be done really well, right? Like we shouldn't discriminate against people, right? Everyone is made in God's image and likeness. But whenever it's skewed to like, and then you have to like support the way I'm living and like agree with it, that's what I can't do, right? Like I can include you and love you and not support what you're doing, you know?
Yes.
And so like inclusivity as an idea, I think like is good, but the way that it's often done isn't. And so having to sign like, yes, like I will like without question like support, like if a kid comes to this thing and says like I, you know, am transgender, then I have to like affirm that identity. It's like, no, I can't do that. Your identity is a child of God, you know. That's how I see the world, and that is truth. And so I don't want to affirm a falsehood. And so even some Christian theaters, like I couldn't even audition there, so I couldn't even like put myself out there because I'm like, what am I gonna have to do on stage? Like the shows they're choosing are not often going to be in line like looking at any sort of morality. And I don't believe every show has to be like about a saint or like super like pious. I think we should tell difficult stories too.
Yeah,
But
because that's like Christian
Right.
B movies that are so obnoxiously obvious that
Right.
they're not really artistic.
no,
Right.
yeah, and so like it doesn't have to hit you over the head to be good and beautiful. And so it's not like I would only be in a play about Jesus or something, but like being in a play that isn't going to celebrate something that is not true. And there's not a guarantee that you wouldn't be required to do something like that if you worked for a company somewhere. Yeah. And so, yeah, I don't really know because I haven't been much engaged with it as a professional.
What do you think accounts for the fact that the arts are so woke? I mean, I've been wondering that for a long. I think many people have. Yeah. But I don't know. I love art.
Me
I love
too.
theater.
Me too.
I love film and
Music.
All right, but the industries themselves are so crazy woke. Like what?
Twisted, confused.
Now, granted, you have. I'm asking you this because you have a lot more experience with it than I do, right? Like I said, brief stint. Do you have any thoughts? Like, what do you think accounts for that?
I don't know. It's interesting that like, yeah, I mean, thinking even of my Catholic high school theater, all the kids there were like, I'm not straight.
Yep.
Why? I don't know. You know, like, is it just because, I don't know. Like, we're all searching for love. And I don't know why that's the thing though, you know, like, I don't know why wokeism is like the thing that like is so present there.
It makes me
'Cause-
wonder if there's this lack of belonging that people have, rootlessness, family struggles, pain in that sense, and that there is this growing community of people who seem to be so inviting, so welcoming, so exciting, so attractive, and that oftentimes goes in theater because there is some level of performance that you have to maintain to continue living this fantasy, this lifestyle, this identity that you want so desperately to have be real, but it's because of some of the wounds and things that you haven't addressed that happened early on as a child in your family or in friend circles, some of the lies you believed. And so that might be part of it. There's a performance element even to that, right?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I've heard people say things like, yeah, like things were so difficult, it was just nice to be able to step outside of myself for a while, right? And it's like, that's so sad.
Well, and you make the same excuse for drinking. Or,
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't want to deal with my emotions, so I drink.
Right. And we all do it to a certain extent in different ways, you know. Mine's binging YouTube, which is just not great, you know.
Yeah,
So
right.
glad it's Lent because I just need to throw my phone in the river. But like,
Oh, yeah. By the way, sorry to interrupt, but
it's Ash Wednesday.
it's Ash Wednesday, which accounts for the blotch on my head.
Oh, yeah, please.
I've completely forgotten that I had.
Mention that. We're filming this on Ash Wednesday, everyone. if you
We've
didn't
just
know.
like gone on.
John and I are bad Catholics. Just kidding.
I'll go later today. It's fine. That's
Yeah, I
so
know.
fun.
I love my parish. I just like could go. I'm from Indiana, the promised land. Okay.
Oh my gosh. She's a Hoosier,
Am I allowed
everybody.
to say that on this podcast?
I don't know if you're ever going to come back, but
Oh,
you can
dang
say
it.
it. We'll
I've
include
messed
you,
it
but I don't necessarily agree with your chosen way of living.
Hey, and guess what? You can do that, and we can still be friends.
That's right,
And
that's
make it
right.
sick.
We don't usually censor our guests, but
We might have to make some edits to this episode.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. No, but yeah, it's just fantastic. But we have. I'm going to do a little promo here. Okay, first Wednesday of the
Go
month,
for it.
praise and worship adoration at 6:30. But today, it's first Wednesday of the month at 5:30. Obviously, no one's going to see this today, but so yeah, we have like adoration right before mass. So that's why I'm going later. I'm really excited about it. But yeah, everyone's welcome. Bring your babies. It's a family holy hour, so loudness is a good thing.
That's cool.
And I just love it a lot. It's really fun.
That's awesome.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
No. We were talking about essentially how do you engage in the secular world in theater, and then of course the challenge of even doing that, and then of course then pivoting toward well, if you can't do that effectively, what do you do to engage in theater and art in this way that's healthy?
Yeah.
I do think something you just said a minute ago, though, John, might be kind of coming close to touching on my question of why the woke kind of
That performance element.
no, about people searching for belonging. Like,
yes.
there can be. I observed. So in high school, I went from wrestling for 3 years to doing theater my senior year. Big culture shock.
Yeah.
Right. And I did it because I was like, well, I kind of always wanted to just give this a try, and I'm never going to do this again in my life. So I'm going to give this a go. And I'm gonna like chill out and not. I was like an okay athlete, so I wasn't like that wasn't like my thing. I did it for the camaraderie and the exercise, and because I also really like wrestling just in general. But like my senior year, I was like, I'm just gonna take a chill pill. We'll do theater because I've kind of always wanted to do this, so I did it. But I noticed like there's a obvious. I mean, and you know this, right? There's this a particular culture that I definitely stuck out like a sore thumb. I remember I have a T-shirt with Ronald Reagan on it. This is like not anywhere near as severe as what you were just describing. I was also not a good Catholic in high school, but I did like Ronald Reagan a lot. not that those are related, but I had a T-shirt with Ronald Reagan on it, and I got like pulled aside and corrected for having Ronald Reagan on a T-shirt
Interesting.
in theater.
See, it's funny because I didn't get pulled aside, but I wore a pro-life, pro-woman shirt to rehearsal once, and this girl looked at me and blatantly rolled her eyes as she walked past me and like shook her head, but no one else said anything to me.
Yeah.
It was hard to wear that shirt in that environment, though. And I'm sure, I don't know if it was for you at that time, of course. But
I'm about as bullheaded as they come, so it didn't bother me any.
That's nice.
And also, it was Ronald Reagan. I was like, whatever, man, he's awesome.
Yeah.
But so you wore that shirt, like you had to have known.
Yeah, I did.
So were you kind of geared up for that?
I sure was. I talked to Sister. Sister was my roommate at the time. I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm so afraid. I'm like sweating before I even get there, It was scary for me. It was scary for me to.
So why did you? I think it's a laudable thing. But I'm just,
thanks. I mean,
yeah.
Probably because I felt like I should be willing to do that.
It was pro-life work.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
you have
everyone
a pro-life group. That's something
everyone
to
knew
that.
I was like the president of that.
Yeah.
But I had never just like said it.
I had that experience with the same kind of people in the theater world. I did shop hours a lot, partly because I didn't want to deal with the culture in that sense.
Yeah.
So I just
Shoppers
did
fun.
behind the scenes, and that's all I did to get my minor.
Yeah.
I also didn't have time, but we did this thing called Pro-Life Day of Silent Solidarity. Where you wear the red duct tape over your mouth the whole day in total silence and with the word life in black letters. And we had to stand on campus and just pass things out of why I'm being silent. It was very intimidating, very intense. And I did this, and my buddy that I worked with every day in my theater shop hours would walk by one time on his way to class, and he was like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, all buddy. He walked up, I handed him a paper, and I have it on video of the interaction because somebody was videoing at that time. And he was like totally opposite, and he just walked away. It was like, man, just you feel the tension when you're really standing up for the truth. And isn't that what art is supposed to do? Right? There was this throwaway culture, like you build a big, huge set for this massive production, and there was no sense of preservation. They destroyed it immediately, threw it all away. They didn't care about waste, and there was this flamboyant expression, but it led to a vacuum of, okay, what next? What next? What next? There was never any settled peace in their mind and
thought
heart.
about that. That's
Well, yeah.
profound.
I have so many thoughts coming in my head. I've been, well, one is just like thinking of it as a profession too. Like my idea, if I was like when I was back senior year of college thinking like, what is my ideal job? I wanted to be a stage manager for a company because I wouldn't be moving around. But like, I was like, I do not want to be an actor professionally because like all my talents like that I've been given by the Lord, praise God, were suddenly a grade every day. And also like the measure by which like my worth like was seen, right? Like, it's like, well, am I good enough for this? Am I good enough? Am I good enough? And it's like, yeah, you are good enough because you exist, but that's not the question. I was asking like, am I good enough? If like, am I a good enough singer meant, am I good enough? Like, am I worthy of like being seen or listened to or like be around or like be included? But then also if I'm an actor, like I don't know when my next paycheck's coming and like I'm selling myself as a product, which like is what it is, right? And there's nothing wrong with being an actor, right? But I just like couldn't see myself being happy doing that. I like wanted to be somewhere stable. That's why like I love Derby Dinner Playhouse. That's over the river. And
You got to
just,
perform in something, right?
What?
Didn't you work there or no? No, you tried to. That's right.
No,
that's
I did.
right.
I did apply for a job.
That's
there.
right. I forgot. That's right.
But like a stage manager job, behind the scenes job. But I know people who work there. My parents' friend works there. He's worked there for 20 years, and they met each other at church when they lived here in Indiana before we moved to Nashville. And he talked to me about it. He's like, Emma, like, it is a machine, and it will chew you up and spit you out if you let it. And I'm like, that's insane. Like, you don't think about that. But they're doing a show every single night except Monday. And then it's just, like, wild. So it's like that lifestyle, that schedule, that's all you're doing. And it's like if it's a job and it's your paycheck, it's like, yes, it can still be good and life-giving and beautiful, but is it right now often that? You know what I mean? Like,
For a lot of people, yeah.
like it can be, but is it? You know? And so that's why I like go to bed like, and I'm like, wow, Lord, thank you, like, so much, because I'm just right now like getting to do all the things I love to do, but it's not a job. I'm not getting paid to do any of it, and I'm not needing to be getting paid for any of it by God's grace. But it's like, instead of being a grade now, which like at the end of college I was like, I just need to get out of here, but like now it's like I'm doing this because I love it again.
And that was your major?
It was.
Wow.
Yes, it's a Bachelor of Fine Arts.
Wow. See, I did it as my minor. Broadcast journalism, of course, made me hate the news and not want to ever be an anchor. But here we are, years later, I'm still getting to do this work. And but in a way that it's volunteer in some ways. But even for Family Renewal Project, we're getting ready to work on YouTube stuff, and I enjoy that. But a lot of people are doing that. It's not broadcast like I went to school.
Right.
But with theater, I think that was what attracted me as well. Theater doesn't need to be something you devote your existence to, but something to do for fun. So like when you first got your job working, in the schools teaching, you joined the theater troupe that we were doing in our church and did A Christmas Carol, which was so much fun, Really fun. It's hard to believe, like, we weren't able to do it a couple of years ago because of health issues in the cast, and, there's been some internal stuff that we're trying to figure. There's always drama in every drama club, right? It's just how it is. But
not every. Never mind. Please continue.
Well, what I mean by this
I have
is
a fun
that
story for
there
you.
are always elements of passion that get expressed in varying degrees of perfection or imperfection that you have to deal with. And obviously in the woke culture, it's completely off the rails, right?
It can be, I think.
Right.
For sure.
And in Catholic Christian circles, you can still have those issues, and you have to navigate those too. So how do you navigate that world so that you don't end up creating cliques and exclusivity and agendas, all those things, right?
Yeah, if I knew, I would love to tell you. I was like, okay, back in high school, I was so bad about that. I regret that, and I've had to like apologize to people since. Like, I am so sorry I was so mean to you. Like, I had no business doing that. But yeah, like, why do we do that? Because we're insecure and we, whatever. Like, we want to, feel better about ourselves. College, like, yeah, there was drama, I guess, but like, I don't know. I wasn't really involved in it, really. And I have to navigate that, I think, at work, too. There can be drama. I work in healthcare now, which is kind of wild. Never thought I'd do that. But there can be some drama there, too. I just pray a lot. Like, Lord help me. But then, like, there are days where I'm just, like, just as in it as everybody else, But, I don't know. I think it's just a constant, like, you wake up in the morning and you just have to be like, I'm going to choose not to do this today. And just, like, ask for the grace to just, like, keep your mouth shut, I don't know. I've not gotten to work professionally in theater yet. I hope to. But, like, right now, like, I'm doing an improv group. Brian Kane is our kind of teacher.
Yeah, speak about that a little bit.
Oh,
because that's exciting.
So fun. I have always wanted to do improv. Also, I want to get back to that question of, like, the woke thing, because I just want to, like, expound on that more with you all, because I don't have an answer, but I think it'd be good to talk about more.
Sometimes it's the very talking about that breaks open the answer.
Yeah, but anyway, improv, like, improv theater, improv comedy, you might have heard it called that, if you've ever seen, like, Whose Line Is It Anyway, or something. There was an improv group at Western. It's so funny. And I loved going to the shows, but I never got to try it out, really. And it was something I'd always wanted to try, but I was so scared of. And so I met Brian when I moved here. I babysit for them sometimes. And you introduced me to him, too. You work with FRP. And he just said something about being, like, a professional improv comedian in LA. And I'm like, what the heck? How'd you end up here?
He actually did a few skits with me and my brother when he first moved here.
Oh, really?
It was just improv as friends, having fun.
That's so fun.
There was no, like, any plan for that, and then you got involved, and it's like, wow, what just happened?
Oh, well, thank you. No, but yeah, so 3 years ago, like we tried to like make it a thing. We like had a little group chat. We were trying to schedule something and it just never happened. So I think I need a little more backstory here. Oh my gosh, I keep hitting the microphone. Anyway, I taught, after I left Bright, I taught 6th grade at Immaculata Classical Academy. Go Knights. And I quickly realized that teaching in a classroom, like one classroom all the time, is just not where God's calling me to be. I love my class so much. I love the school so much. I just like couldn't do anything else, you know, and I just like wasn't thriving. So I decided to quit and not go back the next year. Well, at the end of the year, I left. You know what I mean. Anyway, as I was kind of discerning what the next step was, I had no jobs lined up. I had applied for 40 jobs, heard nothing back from any of them. I don't know if this is obvious to anyone else, but a musical theater degree on a resume isn't the most, like, you know, relatable thing. People are like, I don't know what that means. Is she just going to be really dramatic? Not sure. We're not going to even interview you, you know? So I didn't get one interview. Like, it was just kind of wild. But God gave me this grace just not to be stressed about it. My friend Trisha Walsh, who got married last weekend.
Oh,
I don't know
awesome.
if you knew that. I am just so excited for her.
Praise God.
Anyway, but she taught me this prayer of like thanking God beforehand for the good things he has like planned for you. So like that was just my prayer. Like, Lord, thank you for the job that you're going to give me. And thank you like that it's going to like be enough money. And thank you that it's going to be, you know, good for like the lifestyle that I want and like all that stuff. But throughout that time, I was just like, Lord, what do you want me to do? And he just kept putting on my heart, like art, like Catholic art, Catholic theater. And I was just like, no, I'm not doing that. That's really, really scary, and intimidating. And he was just like, okay, you know, I'm like, what? But it just kept coming up every time I would go, to pray. And so I'm like, okay, fine. Well, if you want that to happen, you're just going to have to do it then. Because I don't have any idea where to start. So yeah, I just reached out to Brian. I said, you want to try this improv thing again? This was like, I guess in the middle of the summer when all of that prayer was happening. He's like, sure. Invite people. Just let's pick a day and we'll invite people to come. We had 10 people show up to the first one.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And then
Was that the one that Crystal and I went to?
Were
That's
there,
right.
yep.
That's right.
And then after
cool.
that, it was like 5 consistently until January. We now have a group chat of 20 people who have come, and some of them are not regular, but we have like a regular group of like 10 people now. And it just started happening. Everyone was free, you know, on this day and like at this time. And it just like, the door just opened.
It's God's grace.
It was wild. Yeah, it's crazy. So that's been so fun. And I love it. And I leave at the end and I'm just like, can't stop smiling because it's so fun. And it's also just like such a fun community. People that I like wasn't really friends with before, like I just love them all so much. And it's called Saint Hilarious, which is also great. So
That's the name?
yeah.
Huh. I gotta talk to my brother about that. That's hilarious. That's what Brian, that makes total sense.
Yeah,
Brian's
that's
been talking about that for years.
Brian's idea. So
And that's a real person, right?
yeah, well, Saint Hilarious.
Saint
There's a lot of
Hilarious, yeah.
Saint Hilaries as well. But yeah, we pronounce it differently.
Of course.
Yeah,
Right.
because it's funny, you know. We like a joke. But yeah, and it's also just fun because we'll pray before and after, and like, we have people who I don't know how much they're practicing their faith, but they come and they're like building a community with people, and now, yeah, it's just like so
There's
good.
your sense of belonging, though.
Right.
Yeah. What makes it Catholic improv? Are you doing Catholic things, or is it just that it happens to be a bunch of Catholics?
I think it's more that it just happens to be a bunch of Catholics.
Well, if,
I had
let's
somebody
say-
ask me once, like, you don't just do scenes like about the apostles, do you? I'm like, no, we don't. That would
Not that
seriously.
question,
it wouldn't
though.
be interesting.
They
but,
sure would, but
yeah.
it would
If
seriously
someone-
limit us, I think.
If someone
we had
wasn't
to.
Catholic but was interested, is that something that you all would be
Yeah,
fine with? Okay.
I would. I'm sure Brian wouldn't turn them away.
It'll stay Catholic improv as long as it's 51%.
Like Congress,
Yes.
right? Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
So just like the apostles would be great if you ever come to a show, if we ever have one, which we will, God willing. he's got it figured out. But anyway, we're working on figuring out our first show right now. But if anybody ever gives us a suggestion of like ancient Israel or the apostles, like we're gonna have to do that, right? So wink. But last week in practice, we were in a space Olive Garden, and I would love to go back, but it will never happen again, right?
Because improv is like that, right?
You do it and you're done.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so this gets into the heart of what we've been talking about here, and I feel something coming. Something. Holy
Space
Spirit.
Olive Garden.
Yes, yeah. It's something has to do with it. No. Go away. Okay.
Do you have breadsticks?
Right. It has to do with the improv concept and what theater is for a lot of people, and the woke stuff, like why people fall into these patterns of going all over the place in their actual reality, their lifestyle. And it's almost like they're trying to continue living in these theatrical worlds of make-believe, fantasy, and it's this profound ability to create whatever you want it to be, the show that you perform and you create. And like you have recognized that improv is a gift because it channels that same desire to create, to live in a fantasy world without trying to constantly remain there and turn that into your reality, because improv is naturally fleeting, right? But when you try to turn those types of experiences and theatrical characters into your reality then becomes fleeting and unfulfilling. Instead of recognizing that theater was designed to be that so that you can enjoy it rightly, you then try to extract infinity from these theatrical performances and fantasies and turn that into your source of fulfillment, and that becomes an idol. I think that's the real problem. People are idolizing theater so much, it actually twists their own sense of identity and self-worth up.
Well, I'd go back a step, and I'd also probably, I know you're not saying this.
I'm not saying it's definitely the case. I'm theorizing
for the sake of the audience, I think I want to clarify.
Sure.
You're not saying that somebody who, whether they're in theater or not, is dealing with a false sense of identity regarding their gender, or is dealing with same-sex attraction, that person is somehow intentionally building a fantasy world.
No. That's not what is being said here.
I know. I just want to make the clarification, because I know you're not saying that, but
it can be misconstrued to say that. No, this is all about mercy, compassion. There are many layers psychologically, emotionally, in dealing with wounds from the past, but also, cultural layers of complexities that happen in a person's heart.
And I don't want to pretend to. I mean, really, I'm not
beyond theater.
I can't pretend to know the answer to that question because I literally asked the question earlier. Yeah. But I have to wonder if it's not just good old-fashioned self-loathing, as that is kind of where that begins. Like, if the only reason I would want to be someone else is if I don't like who I actually am.
And that's like, and that's the thing too, is like, I don't know, but we all, we do that, right? Like with, people who like struggle with pornography and like other sexual sin, but also just like, I know, like, I love, like, when I love a character, like, I just want to go back. I am a rereader. Like, I reread the same books because I just love these characters, right?
So that's why people watch shows over and over.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, I do that too. But yeah, it's like you love these characters, you care about them in a way, right? But that can get carried away, and so even if it's like completely innocent in intention, like it can like become maybe not great for us to do, like to just watch The Office 20 bajillion times, Well,
I watched the show Lost so many times I literally felt lost.
Oh.
That's what happens to you, though. You get lost in a void. Or The Walking Dead, that was a bad show that years ago, but was that not basically a perfect illustration of how people really felt about themselves? The zombie craze.
I do want to make a comment in this regard here, because I remember being very frustrated when I was in college, because there were a lot of things that were called brave. that we're not brave. Saying, I mean, people would, whatever, insert popular woke slogan on my social media bio or my social media. What's that called? I've not been on social media in like
Your bio, yeah.
years. Yeah.
I think.
Anyways, insert woke slogan and you get applauded, but it's called brave, right? To do this. You're so brave. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that doing things that gets you applauded by everyone with money and power and influence is brave, but okay. But that's not what I was going to say. That's not where I'm going. Where I'm going is, you know what's actually brave? What's actually brave is wearing a pro-life, pro-woman t-shirt to a
place where you know that you're going to be persecuted.
And really what it is, kind of tying it together in my quasi-articulate way that I like to do. We're talking about like, the genesis of this sort of not like feeling like I don't fit in because I don't like myself. And there actually is a true bravery in accepting yourself, not in the way that the wokeness, you when you talked about inclusivity gone wrong, the image in my head is like a cancerous inclusivity where it just, how a cancer will multiply itself to the point where it kills the person. That's what this kind of inclusivity is. It's a cancerous inclusivity, and we like choosing not to fall for that, choosing to accept who the Lord says you are, who He made you to be. That actually is brave.
Yeah.
Because that's hard.
Yeah.
And you will be shot down by like everyone for it.
Yeah. I wonder if I don't know. It's just like, I don't know if I'm going to say this in a way that's articulate at all. Just like, yeah, it shouldn't matter to me, really. I mean, yeah, like somebody's obviously like easy things like age or race, right? Like those are a little bit easier, I think, sometimes, and a little less touchy. But like things like gender, or whatever, there are two of them, but like, things like gender identity or sexuality, that's where people put their identity often. And so saying like, I don't really care what your sexuality is, I just love you, right? It's like, I'm not going to tell you that it's okay to like go and do that, but like we can still have lunch together. Like I don't really care that much, and it's just like, but whenever people make that their identity, but we all have false identities in our mind, like whatever we make something our identity and somebody says no to that, we push back against that. And like I do it too. And even in like performance, like people are getting away from this a little bit now, but like we talked a lot about like, what is your character type? What is your voice type? Like I can't change the voice that I have. I can practice and I can improve it. But if I'm a soprano, like I can't become an alto. Or if I'm a belter, like I can't become like this like legit opera singer overnight, right?
Well, sometimes ever.
Or ever, yeah. You gotta
accept that.
Right.
You have limitations.
Yeah, and like I have like a softer voice, like breathier voice. You think nowadays, like Philippa Sue, like was in Hamilton, or like even Billie Eilish, like the singing, it's like not so big. That's kind of my voice is, but I've been wanting that to change for so long, and it's like just now, I just turned 26, like my prefrontal cortex is fully developed now, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm actually like
welcome,
fine, you know what I mean? I know it's kind of weird. I felt a shift, guys. Like I don't know.
Isn't it weird?
It's really, I can't explain it.
You do feel it.
I felt it.
Mm-hmm. Well, my grandma always said you feel something change when you hit 25. She said that to me, and I turned 25 and I felt it.
I did too.
Yeah, it's weird.
My friend Monica told me it would happen, and I didn't believe her, but she was right. Anyway, but like wanting to change that for so long, because who were the people getting the lead roles? Were the people who had the big voices and the big personalities, and that was never me, right? So I thought, oh, well, I'm just not good, so I'm just going to go and do this other stuff. Like, I'm going to be behind the scenes now, and that's where I should be, right? And I think, I mean, I loved it, and I still love it, and it's still really fun for me because I love to organize things, but, like, there was something about that I was rejecting myself, right? Like, I was rejecting the kind of performer that God did make me to be, even though this person isn't made to be like that. Mm-hmm. And so even as a practicing Catholic, like, who was like praying, you know, often and going to daily mass and like doing all the things, I was still rejecting myself. And so, like, think about then somebody who has been living in sin and who doesn't have like this outpouring of grace from the sacraments, and who everyone around them is encouraging them to sleep around and to, you know, explore their sexuality. And, like, I mean, what else are they going to do, right? Because they're rejecting themselves in some way. We all do it. But then, like, how are they going to fill that back up?
Because I would go to
prayer and my good friends who, like, also prayed, you know, and, like, had this understanding, like, you are good and you are made in God's image and likeness. And so we're going to affirm that truth. But most people, I think, I mean, I hope it's not most people, but a lot of people don't have, good friends who, like, love them and build them up, but also, like, people around them pointing them to the truth.
It's that relationship between destiny and freedom. Destiny is that which is given to us and that we are destined to one day inherit in heaven when God gives us the beatific vision, trusting in his mercy and grace. And freedom, which flows from destiny, that which is given to us. So, like, you're born into a family, you didn't choose them. You're born into a language and culture, you didn't choose that. Mm-hmm. You didn't even understand what freedom was until you knew English, which you were given. Mm-hmm. You know, you weren't 4 years old and said, I think I'm going to speak German. You know, you just learned English.
That'd be so cool,
by absorbing it, right? So in the same way, like, you're receiving the gift, and a lot of people don't have a good foundation. They don't have a solid family. They don't have good structure. They don't have things that they really want. They were given it, but it was so abusive, so neglectful, so indifferent that they are trying to find family, trying to find belonging. And yet, because they're trying to reject these painful roots without addressing those issues, there's some level of rootlessness, wandering they find themselves in that can be very, very painful. And we pray for people. And that's why I asked you the question of, can a non-Catholic, someone who's wandering, who loves theater, join this group? Because there's such a deep need for that. And it makes me wonder if we just answered our own question of, how do you reach the secular world? Well, maybe it's like the Israelites. Don't enter into the pagan covenants. Let God sanctify the people of Israel. Let God sanctify the Catholics by starting our own thing and preserve that, the values, the virtues, the grace.
Attracting people
to attract people who might be wandering, who might have a little things off kilter, but now because we have the influence, the infrastructure, and the core sound, we can actually help sanctify people and bring them to the truth of who they are, while also enjoying awesome theater and doing great shows.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like, it's not meant to be exclusive, you know, like it's not meant to be like, well, you can't come here because you're Protestant or something, you know, or nothing, right?
Nothing,
like,
right.
Or like, I'm an atheist. It's like, okay, do you want to be on our show? You know, it's just like, I don't know. I mean, not like we have anything like that built yet, but God willing, someday. But like, yeah, I
You have the harmony of hearts, though. You know, the work that you and Brian are doing with the people there, they're solid. They get each other. And they're not going to be cliquish or unwelcoming or uninviting. And as long as you maintain that understanding and attitude, then when those who are wandering and searching might be interested as we grow bigger, you might be able to handle that. Yeah. Right now, maybe, you know, keep building.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, the guy, like, especially the guys, I've noticed, like, they just invite people. And it's been so cool. Like, all these new people started showing up that we had to cut off accepting new people for a while because we were getting too big. It's like, it's so crazy. I didn't think that was going to happen. I had another thought, though, about, like, this whole, like, I just was starting to think about Genesis. And, like, did God really say that you can't? You know, like the lie, like, you're not really loved. Like, you're not really good. But then you also think about, like, God is the creator. And he's given us this, like, in our bodies, right, the ability to create life, but also, like, artistic skills, the ability to create beauty and goodness and truth and like things that lead us to him. Like why wouldn't the devil want to attack that as much as he can? Because it is meant to like connect us to God and like who God is as creator whenever we create. So just like marriage, like it's no wonder that it's so twisted up. So I don't know if I really need to figure out why. I just like, well, this clearly is a good thing because the devil hates it so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in some sense, some of the questions we've been asking are much broader than they seem at first. Yeah. John asked, well, how does a Catholic navigate the theater world? Well, you might as well ask, how does one navigate the fallen world? Yeah. Right? Yeah. We ask like, what's the root cause of all the woke stuff in theater? It's like, well, what's the root cause of like all
the woke stuff everywhere?
All sinful ideologies that degrade and destroy the human person. Like obviously, like there's this little thing that happened in a garden with some fruit and a snake at some point.
Somehow we ended up at the very beginning of all things.
I just don't get it because I don't really like apples that much. So,
they didn't say it was an apple.
I
steal my thunder.
Actually, it didn't say it was an apple. Actually,
have we ever thought about the Apple logo?
Yes.
Oh, I've gotten that spiel from John before.
Okay, we won't go into it.
Yeah, don't go into that.
I'm sure
it's got
the audience is probably
everybody. I wonder who did that. Adam and Eve? Anyone?
It was me.
It was me, right.
I was hungry.
But
doom scrolling.
I was going to share something you said earlier, reminded me of this. So I have a 13-month-old daughter.
And she's so cute.
And thank you. I think she's pretty cute.
Yeah, she is.
The little hair, like the hair.
Yeah, we put her with the little hair poof. And she's full of personality. Just like it's a lot. It's great. I love it. And over Christmas, we were with my extended family. My brother was in town, who's her godfather, and of course, her first Christmas. So she was like 11 months old. So walking around, chattering, kind of the whole thing. And my family, of course, giving her lots and lots of Christmas presents. She got more than anybody else, as you might imagine. Mm-hmm. First grandchild on either side of the family.
Oh, wow.
Like on both of my sides, on both Lucia's sides, like whole thing. Anyways, there's this moment. I'm sitting next to my brother on the sofa. Whole family's in the living room. And my daughter is there having opened some presents. And she has fistfuls of wrapping paper. Mm-hmm. And she was just... Of course, she's a baby, so she likes the wrapping paper more than the thing inside the box.
Right.
And so she's like holding this wrapping paper, and everyone's like cheering for her because she just opened a present. So it was, yay, and clap, 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 clap. And she's like looking around. She's like, like she doesn't know what to do with herself. She's fistfuls of wrapping paper. And my brother leans in, and he goes, "This is the life I could be living as a child of God, but I just choose not to."
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
And then I was like, dude. And I looked back at my daughter, and of course, because it's instead of just my extended family, right? It's the whole heavenly court that is overjoyed that you exist, right? And and we're like, I think I've shared this on the show before, but my spiritual director once told me that. If you're baptized, the Holy Trinity is having a party in your soul, and you choose to like sulk around the house, and like they would just want you to party with them, right? And you're just like, right?
I feel like that's the definition of hell. You're at your own birthday party. It's the greatest possible party, and you choose to stay in your room. Yeah. Forever.
Well, you kick everybody out.
Yeah, and you kick everybody out. Yeah. Right.
Because that's actually the analogy.
So
obviously, theological caveats and nuances aside, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to get accused of being a Trinitarian heretic, but like an extension, because that was the conversation about the Holy Trinity is having a party in your soul, and then I was like, Okay, so then like venial sin is like you're like moping around and being kind of a party pooper, and like you can choose to knock that off any time and join the party. But immortal sin is like you kick everybody out of the house.
And then
And
you
now
burn
you
your
have
house
That's a
down.
cool
Now
analogy.
you have to go and apologize and ask
And invite them back.
God to come back. Yeah.
Wow.
Gosh, it's so sad.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy.
I have a question that I think relates to this idea of, because you can end up in hell in this way, and people can end up literally in hell in theatrical worlds. Like, Hollywood actors and actresses are the highest rates
my
of
gosh,
depression
it's so
and
sad.
suicide and drug addiction. There's a documentary on Netflix or Hulu or something about child stars,
Yeah, I heard
and
about
it's
that.
just rampant with drug addiction and substance abuse and sexual abuse, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a sad world that people can fall into, right? And I think of, the profundity of the one show that has been consistent in my life that have made me fall in love with theater, and that's been A Christmas Carol that you got to perform in once, and I hope that we get to do it one more time at least this year.
Can I tell a funny story about that?
Oh, sure, you can share
So I
that.
played his wife, which was really funny.
Yeah, he did.
We were
Or
coworkers.
she did. Yeah, we were coworkers. She played my wife.
And
Oh, wait, who are you?
he was Fred.
I was nephew
Oh,
Fred.
your nephew Fred.
And then
I
Fred's
was
wife.
Fred's
Yeah.
wife, which they gave me a name. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yes.
Fred's wife.
Right. She had a name.
But so for the performance, one of the other people in the cast was like, "You need a ring on." 'Cause he has a ring on. So she gave me her wedding band. And I was like, okay, I guess that's fine. But I went out to you and I went, "John, look." And you went, "Ah." And I went, "I know, it's so weird, right?"
Yeah,
It just was so
yes.
funny because your reaction, you're like, "Ew, gross." And I'm like, "Ow, thanks, man."
Well,
But it was so funny.
That is really funny. Well, my wife is also in the play as the Ghost of
True.
Christmas Past, so there
Also
is that
true.
funny. It's a family thing, right? For me, it was always a sense of belonging. Like my ultimate goal is to get her to be my wife in the actual play. One day, right? So
Kristen,
you'll have to find another
that would
role.
be
one
good.
day.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll just be
Well, my daughter now
Tree 3.
is 6 months old. Like, hopefully she'll be one of the Cratchit kids, or how awesome that would be.
That'd be really cute.
She has to make her debut. But I think the profundity of this play, and you've grown up watching Christmas Carol as well, and the profundity of that. I look at that as like theology of the body in a nutshell: origin, history, destiny, original man, historical man, eschatological man. That tension of not yet but almost, longing for the beatific vision, and that's what Ebenezer Scrooge experienced with the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and yet to come. This idea of longing.
yeah.
How can we apply the timeless lessons of things like A Christmas Carol, or these deeply embedded and culturally acceptable, iconic theatrical performances to bring redemption and conversion into the very people who are performing in these plays?
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like, so my friends and I, so many amazing things. My friend Hunter wrote a play called The Scarlet Veil, which is about the Immaculate Conception. And he basically adapted the Proto-Evangelium of James into a script. And it was really, really beautiful. Really fun. We performed it in my backyard in December. Questionable. Our final dress rehearsal, it was snowing. And then we had to defrost like every 20 minutes. But it was so fun. And then, yeah. But then, so I was like, I want to do another play. And I would really like to redo my capstone, my solo show about Joan of Arc, but I don't want to be in it this time. I want to direct it because I had to direct it and be in it, and that was a little rough. But I already have that outlined in my head for the fall. But I was like, what are we going to do in the spring? And so we looked online and we're like, what is free? What can we use for free? Because our budget is $0. And we found, we decided to do A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare. And so The Scarlet Veil was about Mary. Okay. Side tangent on that really quick. I have never been good about my devotion with Mary. But then Hunter, he was planning this, and I was like, well, I'd love to be in it, And he's like, oh, you're going to be in it. I was like, oh, okay, thanks. He's like, you're going to be Mary. And I was like, what? You didn't ask me that. I was like, okay, thank you. I'm very honored to be Mary. I had 6 lines, which was great. It was mostly just watching and pondering, which was fantastic. I can watch and ponder all day. I don't have to memorize anything. But I was like, well, shoot, I'm going to play the Mother of God. I better work on my relationship with her, right? And it was just I felt it was October when he told me that. just this like immediate, like, she was like, all right, girl, like, you better come talk to me, you know? And I'm like, okay. And just this draw to her, like, I couldn't explain it. Like, there's this draw to her. And so I just started like, I started the Marian devotion, like the reconsecration that they gave out at the FRP benefit. Then I lost my book halfway through, and I couldn't find an extra.
Just reach out. There's like
a billion.
There's
Okay.
like 1,000 of them.
I did ask some people, and then I couldn't. Could I have a new one? Could I just get a new one sometime?
One, yeah.
But I couldn't find a new one.
Get you one.
So I was like, well, I guess I'll just pray the rosary. And so I started praying the rosary, and I swear, like, I've never liked praying the rosary before, and I pray it every morning on my way to work now.
Wow.
And like look forward to it. And she did that, you know, God did that through her. But because I was playing her in a play, that's why, you know? And I'm like, that's so beautiful. And like getting to like perform the Annunciation and like have Justin Liner appear to me as an angel, right? It was really fun.
Justin Liner was Gabriel.
It was Gabriel.
Yes.
It was great.
Yes.
And just like getting to like think about what would that really have been like for her, you know? And like getting to then like embody it, and like it becomes like flesh, right? Like the incarnation, literally. And just there was something about that I was just like, wow, she gets it. Like she understands me. And I want to talk to her about everything, you know? And it's because I was doing a play about her, not because I really wanted to get to know her or was praying a lot about it, but because I was doing a play about her, right? That she like drew me in. So that was a doorway, right, to that, but also a deepening of like my understanding of her. And I just think that's so beautiful. But then with Midsummer Night's Dream, like, it's not an explicitly, obviously, Christian or Catholic show, but you just see there, like, you don't have to make it up. And Christopher West said this. I took a course at the 2B Institute. He's like, you don't have to make something up. You just have to put on the right glasses, you know? Like, your lenses. He called them your TOB lenses. And if you put those on, like, you start seeing the world as it is. And, like, art, and, like, just like artists are so, even if it's skewed, like in tune with that longing of their heart to be known and loved, and to like, yeah, not reject themselves, like to love themselves or whatever it is. And so with Midsummer Night's Dream, as I was reading it and trying to figure out like what is our like theme or focus going to be, I was like, I want it to be something true, but I don't want to like try to force feed it down people's throats. And so you see like the journey, and there's so many ways you could take this, but the way that what struck me and what we're kind of going with for our production, it'll be in May at some point, probably. It's kind of loose right now, trying to figure it out. But you have like the lovers, Helena and Demetrius, and then Hermia and Lysander, and they're in this very rigid world of Athens. And it's like, if you don't marry the man your father says you're going to marry, you're either going to become a nun or you're going to be killed. It's like, interesting. And so then you have the woods and the fairies, and you have like Oberon and Titania, who are literally like drugging each other to get what they want, but they're like married and supposed to be in love, so that's a little wonky. And so at the end of the play, I was doing some research, and what it pointed out was like the fairies come into the city at the end. It's like, interesting. Okay. So I just started thinking about it. It's like you've got order, and then you've got passion, but you don't have them mixed together until the end. And at the end, you have all these weddings, and it's like joyful and good and beautiful or whatever. And it's when those two things go together, like that order and the passion, like meet, and you have like love, like charity or whatever, as it should be, more so than at the beginning. And at the beginning, it's like they're just like, yeah, it's just like rigid order. And I'm almost thinking like just justice, right? Like justice only. And then it's like only passion, like no order, lawlessness. Even the people in charge are not following.
On a subtle
like,
level, the very shows you're choosing can bring about conversion.
Yeah. Well,
Subtly.
that's the hope.
Yeah, without shoving it down people's throat, making it obvious, and choosing overtly Catholic plays that are always performing the lives of the saints.
And you don't have to, because beauty
Transcends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was kind of, I started going, thank you for like being like focus, but like, yes, you can find truth in good art. And I would argue that William Shakespeare is good art. You know, it's classic for a reason, I would say.
Real meaning.
Big Shakespeare fan. I mean, you really can't. You're saying like you're trying to figure out the theme. I don't know. It just. I mean, I'm not sure if you were talking about like how the people would read the lines or what, but I don't know. Just do the play.
Do the play.
He's so brilliant.
He is
It's in the public domain.
Yeah. It is in the public domain.
Right,
so while our budget remains zero, probably going to do a lot of Shakespeare stuff. We don't have like a name. It's just kind of a group of my friends who were like, yeah, let's do a play.
But you
know when
have,
you're doing it.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. We're going to try to advertise. I just don't have anything ready yet.
You have the foundation though of weekly, or is it monthly?
It's going to become weekly. Right. We started
improv nights.
Oh, yeah.
Is this the same group or same people?
A lot of people overlap, but it's not the same group.
So you have two different groups going on right now. Improv comedy and a theater group.
And a drama club.
Wait, 3 different groups? What's the difference
I don't
between...
sleep.
Okay, this is new stuff to me. What is the difference between the improv comedy, the theater group, and your drama club?
Yes. Well, last thing. I agree. We could just literally do it. But to the point of like the conversion of the people, right? It's like I made this little packet. I was like, please pray about this. Also, like helping with character analysis and development of like how this character changes. That's why I want it to have like a overarching theme to it. But you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my thing is like, you didn't have to read into it that far to find some sort of profound like truth. But anyway, that's kind of neither here nor there.
No, my little brother is into theater, and he's at Franciscan University.
Oh, awesome.
And he did theater, I think, all through high school.
Okay.
And then he's doing and he's done several Shakespeare plays. So I've gotten to see several of them, and they can be done. Like, I'm not worried about Shakespeare in like your hands.
Oh, thanks.
They can be done in very poor ways.
I am worried about Shakespeare in the hands of some theater groups, like the one that we were talking about earlier. About I'll just
Change.
take this male lead and make him a female. But yeah, so I've really been able to grow in appreciation of him.
So watch out, you're gonna only attract more people to your theater efforts. Yeah. Through things like this, so people become more aware. So keep that in mind.
Yes.
So.
So what's the difference? Thank you, by the way. Yeah, I'm really excited. And it's just, like I said, so fun. Like, just look forward to it so much. Let's see. So Drama Club is for 6th through 12th graders at Immaculata.
Oh, okay.
So it's with the school. And we're, what's today, Wednesday? Tomorrow, they're getting their roles for their spring showcase, which is exciting. It's the first year that we're doing it. Next year we plan to do a play, but this year it's just like a showcase of scenes. And my hope is like, it's so good just to do a play, but I felt like I wanted to just also like teach them about like the art of performing. And I actually met a girl named Bridget at tap class. I take tap on Thursday nights. And it's so fun. And she, not Catholic, just like hanging out. We started just like hanging out, becoming friends. And she told me she used to work with kids in theater out in Montana. And I was like, hey, if you ever want to do theater with kids again, like, let me know. And she is now helping me. And she's like it's me and her, Awesome. And it's so fun. And she's awesome and just fantastic. So it's been really great. But yeah, so that's just with the school, for the school, 6th through 12th grade. And it's been really fun.
So the theater troupe, then, the group that you've got going, is
it's like for adults.
Planning to do plays seasonally whenever. And how often do you meet then? And is that open to anyone join compared to the improv, or what?
No, yeah.
How does this work?
It's
in case anyone's interested in contacting you.
Oh, please contact me. I am open to people being involved. I've asked like almost everyone that I know, and gotten this group of people. So really the biggest criteria we're looking for is someone who can actually commit to the schedule. Right now it's like every other week. Right now improv's every other week, and right now this is every other week.
Only off weeks for you?
No, it's the same day.
Oh.
It's actually
same
the
day.
same Monday, because I get to be in the same place for my entire evening, and that's really helpful for me.
That's cool.
I basically pack my entire life in my car in the morning. I work at a hospital now. I get up at 4 a.m. So on that Monday, I literally leave my house at 4:30, and I do not get back until 9:30 p.m. So I have my entire day like in my car. And that is...
You can do that while you're single.
Yep. So that's working really well for me right now, actually. But it's really funny. That was like how I was in college too. And people would just like, my friend did this, imitation of me. She had this massive bag and that was just full of stuff. She's like, like doing all these things. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. I have something for you. And like digging through this huge bag of stuff. And like, that's just, I feel a little, excuse me, this said friend is going to have a baby this month. So exciting.
Yay.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
It's that connection between your Mondays or
Yes,
this whole
Mondays are
thing.
crazy.
So you do drama club,
On Thursdays.
improv. Oh, on Thursdays, and then Mondays is theater and improv.
rehearsal for a play and improv.
But different people come and filter. Some stay for both.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
And so improv was just open to whoever, but we just recently closed it because we were getting too big, and we would have new people coming, and we wouldn't be able to like progress and like do more difficult things. So we're hoping to open that back up in the summer or the fall, after we've kind of established some like shows and had some performances, because that's also a way we want to garner more interest as well.
Yeah.
Brian's also talked about loosely about doing like workshops for people who don't want to like join the group but just want to learn something, maybe like a small fee, and like starting it to become like a professional thing. My ultimate goal and dream that the Lord has finally convinced me like he might actually want me to do, and like he'll take care of me. I don't have to know everything right now, but my ultimate goal and dream is to like have like a 501c nonprofit like Catholic theater company that does improv and classes for kids as well. Toying with the idea of that being just like Catholic arts generally, like also like painting and dance and music and things, but I don't want to bite off more than I can chew.
One day at a time.
So right now we're doing drama club, and it's going really well. And that's what earlier you said, like there's always drama. Literally first time like I went there and I was like, you know what guys, like I want this to be a really positive place, and I want the culture here to be one of that's welcoming and that's safe, and like it like has like trust. Like I want you all to trust me, and I want to be able to trust you, right? I said, but I can't do that. You do that. And I told him, I'm like, yeah, like if there's gossip, like it's just not, it needs to not happen. And there's a difference between talking about something and then talking bad about something, right? Like we can share about something and it not be just this negative thing. My roommate and then a lot of my good friends work at Immaculata, and they have told me that they've heard nothing but positive things about drama club and about like the people sharing about other people in drama club.
And that is the grace.
It's amazing.
Of what you've gone through persecution, through dealing with actual drama of confusion and chaos and wandering, to find this stability. It's like the Holy Spirit hovering over the chaos to bring order, beauty, and life.
Yeah. And it's so beautiful because I see kids who like don't hang out outside of this time, who are like up there being ridiculous together, and it's so fun. It's just like we're all laughing. Like we leave and we're all smiling and laughing. And yeah, like there are days that are more stressful because we have a lot to do than others, but like overall, from my perspective, and I sure do hope that that's the same for the students, but from my perspective, it isn't a place that drama is festering, at least not right now. And God willing, it never will become that.
You just have to be vigilant.
Yeah.
God is good.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for it. So.
Well, praise God, Emma. Thank you so much for being here and for the gift of just your commitment to theater and art, because it's so needed. As I can attest, like my love for theater gave me a sense of belonging to my parish, to my family, and there is always room for growth and transition and change. And, I long for the day where there can be a more robust culture of theater in our entire archdiocese, so that it's not just all on you, all on Brian, but there's multiple groups, multiple troupes, multiple improv comedy nights with different people, and maybe you're in 3 or 4 different groups, but you never know. Like, you start a company, people join. I'm giving you the vision that you got to have on your heart. Like, God is putting this on your heart. You're called to this. And I want to affirm you. I know Vincent will affirm you in this, that we feel that you have such a passion for it. You've inspired me just sitting here talking. We've not gotten a chance to actually talk about this on a deep level, And I imagine people who've watched this all the way through are inspired. So, Vincent, any final thoughts from this time together?
No, this has been lovely. Thanks for coming on. I don't think we ever had like a real conversation before.
I don't think so either. I've held your baby though.
So yeah. So you've had deeper conversations with my baby than with me.
She's a great conversationalist.
She really is. Yes.
Oh boy.
In 2 languages. But yeah, so just thanks for coming on. Like, it's truly been such a blessing. So
thank you guys. It's been so good. And I agree. Like, it's really nice to get to know you better as well. Yeah. And John, to catch up.
Yeah. And in the fall, if we actually get Christmas Carol off the ground, be sure to look into that. So that'd be cool. And you too.
Yes. I'm not busy or anything.
No, not at all. Right? You aren't either, right?
So
I have so much free time.
Aside from the things that we've talked about, is there anything that you'd like to plug or
shameless plugs?
Well, I don't know when this is coming out, but my friends and I are working with the Archdiocese. What's the Office of Youth and Young Adults? Mm-hmm. And at the end of March, we're having the first of what we hope becomes an annual young adult retreat.
Yeah.
Out at Mount St. Francis, and just so you know, but it's called You Are My Beloved, and it's based on the book Life of the Beloved by John Henry Nouwen. I always say it wrong. I would say Nouwen. Is it Nouwen?
What?
Nouwen.
What's his name? Nouwen? Nouwen.
Okay.
John Henry Nouwen. See, I always say it wrong.
It's different than Newman.
It's not Nouwen.
Right.
I would say Nouwen. Anyway, but it's been really, really beautiful, and we just want it to be something that, yes, deepens our faith, but also kind of unifies the different kind of subgroups of young adults around the Archdiocese. Because there's so many young adults and so many things happening. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times, like, I don't know the people over there, at that parish, or who don't go to a specific parish or something. Because I do live in Indiana, but even us, like, we're so close, and so there's a lot of stuff overlapping with the 2 groups of people. So the hope is that it will become an annual thing, for community building and also, of course, deepening our faith. So that's going to be at Mount St. Francis. If this comes out before it, please register. And if it comes out after it, I'm sure it was awesome, and please pray for us. But yeah, that's really fun and good.
Awesome. Well, praise God. Mm-hmm. Well, very good. Emma, we'll probably have you on again as you give more updates on the growth of the theater troupe and the universe that God has put on your heart to build for so many. So we're praying for you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining. As always, we just ask that you continue to pray for these efforts that Emma's entered into and all of the theater aspects and the arts for the Archdiocese of Louisville, and pray for all those who might watch these episodes and clips that might come from this. And we're praying for you. Please pray for us. We'll see you next time. God bless.